Welcome back to yet another episode of Around the Bases, pop culture and sports podcast with your hosts, Charlie Seymour and
Tim Sternberg. How's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm good, buddy. Just getting over a cold. Um,
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I've taken about 6 cruises since COVID. It's 2020, and half of them I've gotten sick on. So I don't think I'm going to be taking another cruise in a while. That's why we
Oh,
weren't we weren't together last week because I was on a cruise ship.
well, I'm sorry to hear that you got sick, but did you have fun
It's
at
all right.
least?
Yeah, we had a good time. I mean, anytime you're on a ship and people are cooking and cleaning for you, it's always a good time,
I'm
even if
not
you're
the
sick.
best. I'm not the best on boats, so I've actually never gone on a cruise before.
Well, I will tell you, this last cruise, I did a back-to-back. So the second week was really rough. I posted a video on TikTok of the seas, and it was really, I think I sent it to you.
Was
It
that the
was
one with the
really
really
the
choppy
Coke okay.
water?
Yeah.
Splash it. Yeah. See that just looking at that made me
You're like,
seasick.
that doesn't help me at all when I go on a cruise.
Not a great sell there.
No. Oh my God.
I'm sure
Dude,
it was
there's
fun though.
it was fun, I mean, they limited to 5 channels, so someone into pop culture like we are, to have just like MSNBC, Fox News, and some Royal Caribbean channels. It was not the funnest experience, and I'm a TV guy, even on a cruise. But it was fun. I had a good time.
So
Had
then
my
were you
computer.
just using the streaming apps on your computer? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on. We can certainly start with what we are have in common in our wheelhouse. And we haven't really talked about the last episode of We Are Family, did we? The
No,
Peter
I think
Frampton.
Peter Frampton,
Oh
legend.
my God, dude, that was amazing. That
That
was
was
like right. You have goosebumps still from that.
I honestly that episode was one of my favorites in person, like no
Me
doubt.
too. Me
I
too. I
was
was.
when I started piecing it together that it could be him, and then when I was like pretty sure it was him, that was one of the most exciting moments for me on the show so
Yeah,
far
me
at
too.
that moment.
And I'm gonna be honest, when they opened up the sphere and the son walked over, Julian walked over, and he was in a chair, I got emotional because I'm thinking about my own dad who passed away and the connections, and I wasn't the only one. A lot of our fellow castmates also got pretty emotional in that
Yeah,
episode.
he
Yeah,
yeah,
but
and I have a close family friend who suffered from the same
oh
disease that Peter Frampton had, so it hit home for me as well.
yeah, he's
Um,
raising funds for that foundation, and what I'll try to do is put a link in the video so people can donate if they want.
yeah,
Um,
that was a really great episode.
I
When he
agree.
walked when you just mentioned and he walked over, because to that point every reveal the celebrity came walking out to the stage, so they had a chair for Julian there, which I thought was so cool, and then he just
Yeah.
literally just sat next to his dad and played. I was just like, wow,
And this
that's
song
great.
too, Black Hole Sun.
Black Hole Sun, yeah.
Man, it was awesome. And the celebrity before Peter just was also awesome, Andy Grammer.
Yes.
That was, very moving for a number of people also in our cast. And it was just a fun
I
overall
actually
all
have a
around
funny side
episode.
story of that. One of my buddies who probably will be listening to this. When I got back from Atlanta when we were done filming, I went to grab lunch with him and catch up. You know, we were gone for a few weeks, and out of the blue, he says, "Oh yeah, I'm going to a concert center with my wife. We're going to see Andy Grammer." And I did a double take, like it was just natural. I couldn't help it. And then right away, he kind of realized,
Like,
he
why did
put
you
two
have
and
that
two together,
reaction?
and then
Oh,
he's
he
like, "Oh
kind of
shit!"
figured it out.
He kind of figured it out right away. So I was like, "Oh well,
You didn't
there's
say
some people."
anything.
I didn't say anything. I just reacted
Oh.
to what I was told, and that was
Oh
pretty funny.
man.
It was a
It
small,
was,
literally like a few days after we got back is when I found that out. And
we
then he
keep
played that
saying
next Saturday.
signs everywhere.
It's pretty crazy.
Oh man, it just and I would be remiss if I didn't mention this that Fox had announced officially that the host of our season finale, which is on February 28th, is the great Joel McHale.
Yes.
Um, Let me tell you, this is what we've been wanting to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So. You guys might not know this, but they're not necessarily airing the episodes in order that they were taped. I'll say that. And I don't think it's wrong for me to say it is what it is. Um, but the two shows in the finale are two shows that were taped together on the same day. And the day after that show had taped, we taped a show with Anthony Anderson comes back, and it's a show that already aired. And the first celebrity out of the super sphere was
Joel
Joel
McHale.
McHale. And so he made a side joke. He's like, I was just with you all day. And like
He
only
said,
half of
half
us
of you
got it
got me
right.
wrong. I was with you all day yesterday. See, and that's a thing that I couldn't give away anything
Yeah,
without the context. Now that that information is out there,
we could talk
that
about it.
is the reason why I never changed my answer off of Bill Murray, because we spent the whole day with Joel the day before. He kept talking about how he lives in Seattle and he's a big Seahawks fan, and all the Chicago centric stuff really threw me off of the Joel scent. Plus, who would have thought, oh, he's sticking around the next day? Most of them come in, they film it, and then they go back home. It was for me, it was way out of my atmosphere. Even though the episode that just aired, Tim's seatmate, Alexandra, star player, amazing
Love
person.
Alexandra. Awesome person.
The night after Joel hosted the full day, I rode the bus home with her. Okay. And on the entire bus ride home, I went over Joel's filmography. I literally mentioned every single clue that showed up the next day. And then we're breaking for lunch between episodes. And Alexandra comes running up and she's like, thank you so much. That, oh my God, I wouldn't have got Joel if you didn't help me with all those things. And then I start laughing and she's like, what's so funny? And I'm like, you can believe it or not, I got it wrong because of yesterday. The Chicago thing really threw me. So I just thought that was
Yeah.
a funny anecdote.
It's funny though, the Chicago thing threw me too, only because I kept thinking, as you said, he was there with us for the entire day before filming our finale. And I kept thinking, oh, he says from Seattle. He's from same with you, Seattle, Seattle. But I could not get past the clues, the animals, the animal control. I couldn't get past community college, community.
See, you
And
know what
I,
threw me even harder was your animal catching clue.
yeah,
I thought the it wasn't a raccoon. I thought it was a fox. So in my head, I said
oh,
fox
dang.
catcher, which Bill
Oh,
Murray is also
Bill
in.
Murray. Yes.
So I was
Wow.
like so in my head on that one, and I wanted to switch. And by the end, like you said, I kind of said, well, some of the clues are going to Joel, but I just I had a great follow up they called back on for the strategy. We came for to play big, go big or go home. I knew if I switched my answer and was
You wouldn't have
right
been
with
star
Joel,
player.
wouldn't have been star player. It would have been a few $100, which would have been fine. But I would have never been able to forgive myself if I switched off and it was Bill, and then it cost me like that. I wouldn't have been able to live
And I
with.
do know that there are some of our cast members that actually switched to their answers later on for a decent amount of one. So
Yeah,
so
that
yeah.
had him right, that switched him to wrong.
Yeah, so I would not want to be that person either,
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, I just like, and it sounded like Joel. Like I thought it sounded like him. I kind of got it, kind of, and I was like, but in my head, like you, I was like, there's no way he's gonna be the very next show, the star player. I mean, the celebrity.
yeah.
I just
The
was like
day
blown
after
away
he
by that.
hosted two of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a fun moment. It kind of when they aired his episode first, it kind of threw me. I'm like, well, how are they gonna kind of, because during the taping of those two finale shows, and not the finale shows, that episode with him and with
Hmm.
we kept saying, referring back to yesterday and kept talking about that during that
Right.
moment. So, yeah, I don't know. They did a good job of editing it, let me tell you.
They did.
But
They
yeah.
did a fantastic job.
Tomorrow night is well, it might be today, probably when you're listening to this. The new episode of We Are Family, that's episode number 7 is airing, and it's a good
On
one.
February 14th.
February 14th, Valentine's Day, and it's a good one. I'll leave it at that. We will talk and hopefully have a special guest in the next couple of weeks, and maybe could talk more about it. But yes,
That would be great. Yeah.
it was a fun, it's a
We're,
fun
we're we'll
episode.
definitely touch on that one next time.
Yeah,
We don't want to give
definitely.
anything away though, but it's a fun
No,
one.
it's a fun one. It
And I know a lot of my friends and their wives will be excited for this one because there's a pretty good reveal on this one, I'd say.
Yeah,
Little teaser.
definitely. And I'm refraining from saying anything else.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
But
give
yeah,
any hints.
no,
It'll be too
no.
obvious.
Yeah, 2 hours. Even though you've probably already seen it by the time this podcast comes out. So you're gonna just gonna go at the screen. It's this person. What are you talking about? But that's okay. It's all right. It's all right. Because we don't know when I'm gonna edit this and release it. I could be tonight. You never know. All right. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the floor. Wow. Wow, we're getting towards the end. A lot of the spaces are being eaten up, I will say. We had all ladies night last week.
That was a
Um,
fun one. I enjoyed it.
yeah.
I got my
Yeah.
category I've been waiting the whole time for.
The Simpsons
The Simpsons
characters.
celebrities who were in The Simpsons.
I
Oh
love that.
man.
Love it. I think it's going to be really exciting the last couple of episodes because it's really going to be like high pressure, high stakes type of thing.
Yeah, there's
And
a new one tonight.
I have to say I'm kind of rooting for Stephanie. I
Yeah.
like Stephanie.
She's yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard not to root for anytime someone wins a
I
couple
know.
duels. It's hard to not keep rooting for that person, you know?
Yeah,
They do a good job
yeah.
with that as well.
Yeah, and getting, I think a big part of a game show is getting to build up a appreciation and a love for a contestant where you get to root for them, like and have a rooting interest. And I think the floor does a really good job of that, of being able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a fun watch. I really like it.
yeah, me too, me too. So yeah, we'll talk about that next time also. Something big happened too while we were not on recording, and that is the 96th Academy Award nominations came out. Any surprises for you?
Um, I don't know about surprises. I know that ever since they expanded the number of movies that could get in, it's less of there's less room to be surprised for Best Picture. But I don't care what people say. I am happy Barbie got a nom.
Um, yeah, I
I
don't
know
want
it
to get
wasn't
hate.
your favorite.
I
I know
don't
it
want to
wasn't
get
your
hate. I
most
didn't
favorite
understand it.
movie, but I
It wasn't
enjoyed
made
it.
for me, but I understand.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't made for a 51-year-old guy. I don't know. Like I could it was cute. It was cute. I just couldn't get into it. I did think though that particularly Ryan Gosling was very good in the movie. He really took the character of Ken and made it his own. I think Margot Robbie was great. Surprised she
America
didn't
Ferrera.
America Ferrara. And I've always been a fan of America Ferrara from going all the way back to her TV appearances. And I mean, she's always
I also really
that.
enjoyed Kate McKinnon as Weird
I
Barbie. Oh my
I
gosh,
love
she cracked me up.
I do love Kate McKinnon, and that was also a highlight. So I mean, good. I'm glad, I think for years we've had these traditional kind of snooty movies be nominated, and I think it's kind of nice to have a summer blockbuster popcorn movie. If that's a good kind
Hmm.
of Barbie, and you had Barbie and Oppenheimer going up against each other during the summer, so it's kind of cool to see them, um, to see Barbie being nominated and Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
both of them nominated.
It's also about the time now where you can go to the theaters and see the Best Picture nominees for like $5.
That's awesome.
That's always fun. I've only seen a few of them so far, and I definitely want to see a few more before the Oscars.
Yeah, I saw Barbie. I thought Barbie's the only one I've seen, ironically. Holdovers, American Fiction, The Zone of
A few of
Interest.
them are streamable.
Oh, they are.
A few of them right now you can watch. Well, in 2 or 3 days, I think the 16th, I believe, Oppenheimer's available on Peacock.
Okay. I'm gonna
The
check it out.
Holdovers is already on Peacock. Maestro is on Netflix. Killers of the Flower Moon is on Apple,
Gotta love streaming,
and
right?
then Barbie's on HBO Max.
I saw
the
Barb.
The
That's where I
rest
saw
of
it.
them, I'm not certain are streamable just yet, but I'm not certain on the rest of them.
Maestro sounds interesting. That's a Steven Spielberg movie. Um, Killer of
It
the Flower, Martin
is. I thought
Scorsese.
that was. Didn't Bradley Cooper direct Maestro?
Oh, it says Bradley Cooper, Steven Spielberg, Amy Durning. So
Oh,
maybe
maybe they coded it because I'm pretty.
let
Yeah,
me
because I
see. Let
remember
me see.
listening to Bradley Cooper on his episode of Smartless way back when he was on, and that's a long working project, and I know I'm pretty sure he's directed it and
Oh, maybe producer is Steven Spielberg then.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, the money.
I wonder is because I don't know if it was for the Oscars, but I thought Bradley Cooper got a nom for directing for
For
maybe it was
Maestro.
the Globes. I'm
Um,
scrolling through here. I can't.
yeah, I'm gonna look. Mhm.
Yeah, I'll let you find it. I can't find it here, but I
Um,
thought
uh,
that he got a nomination
no
for something.
directors for Oscars are Justin Triet, Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, and Jonathan Glazer for Zone of Interest. That was another controversial kind of thing that the director of Barbie did not get a nom either.
Yeah,
It usually doesn't hold well for the movie, as far as winning goes, if they don't get a nom for director, typically, from my experience. We'll see how it works out. I don't know. I have a feeling that it's
yeah.
gonna be
Bradley Cooper
Oppenheimer.
did direct Maestro.
Oh, he did. Okay. See? Always rely on that brain. Yeah, it's really and I personally love international films, so I really am interested in seeing some of these international films that are nominated too. One of my favorite movies of all time was Life is Beautiful, which was won Oscar for best international film. It was Italian movie. But yeah, I love that movie. All
Yeah,
right, yeah,
there's some good there's some strong categories again this year. So it should be when is it? It's probably still a few weeks, right?
yeah, it's March. Let me see. Tell you in a second. We could talk about it more, of course, too. Tell you in a minute. March 10th.
March 10th. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's about a month out. Still got plenty of time to see a few of them.
And our family will be over, so we'll have need other stuff to talk about. All right. Very cool. All right. So, our other big interest that we both mutually like, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but let's go back and talk about the Super Bowl. Are you shocked that the Chiefs won?
I mean, not shocked. I mean, it was nothing. No, neither result would have shocked me, honestly. But
Hmm.
it was a
Yeah.
it was a wild game. What a finish!
Wild game right up to the end. I mean, people were thinking it could have went to overtime. Um, and of course we saw Taylor Swift in the audience a number of times because of
It
Travis
did go to
Kelce.
overtime.
Oh, it did go to over. See, there you
Yeah,
go. There you go.
yeah. There's that.
Can you
That's a
tell
lot
I
of
didn't?
the that a lot of the talk the
I didn't
last
watch the
day
end
or
of the game.
two. A lot of
I
the
was a
talk
little
the last day
sick.
or two is the overtime rules
Ah,
and whether or not the Niners actually knew the rules. But I think people are blowing it out of proportion a little more. Kind of agree with if both teams scored the first time, you want the ball third. Although then I did
yeah,
hear Kansas City's plan the entire time was if they got the ball second and San Francisco scored the touchdown first, Kansas City supposedly was going to go for two. Now that is even talk about a decision there. Go for two for the Super Bowl, the whole game to decide on a 2 point conversion. That
absolutely.
would have been something, man. That would have been something. But
But I did just expose myself of not watching the end of the Super Bowl because I was laying in bed sick. But that's okay.
that's okay. That's okay.
I watched most of it. Yeah, and
And you saw some
apparently
of the fun commercials.
I did. I did. I didn't understand the Robert F. Kennedy one. That was weird.
That
Um,
was also we that was a big talk about how weird that one was. We thought that was weird as well.
he made it like retro to the 60s Kennedy, and it was like, why? Yeah,
Yeah.
you want younger people to connect to your campaign, and they're gonna be like, what is this? We don't get into politics here. I'm just talking about the commercial.
Look,
The
yeah.
commercial was
I
strange.
gotta say, I felt the last few years the commercials have been not as good as like
I
when
agree.
in the back in the day. Like I remember every commercial was like this huge thing, and there were some good ones, but it's not the same anymore. I don't think.
Like a couple of years ago, that commercial with like Jennifer Aniston and David Schwimmer would have been made a bigger bang. But I mean, we just got off a year where, Matthew Perry died. It was a little, I don't know, the timing was weird for me with that commercial. I don't know. Call me,
Which one? What brand was that one for again? I don't. I
wasn't
remember
it like it was like FedEx or something? It was like I'll tell you right now. See, that's how effective the commercial was. I have to look up.
Didn't even catch it.
Oh man. Um,
Yeah, see, for me, like I like my all-time one of my all-time favorite Super Bowl commercials is Terry Tate, office linebacker.
that's so
Like
awesome. That
like
he
that is
destroy he goes
when
to the office and destroys everything. I
uh
love that so much.
and Doritos always had good ones and
Oh, Uber Eats.
Uber Eats. Interesting. Okay. Hmm.
Okay. I don't know. But okay.
And then what about okay, let's we can touch on the other big drama of the Super Bowl. How'd you feel about Travis Kelsey?
Not happy with him at all with that. That really upset me, dude.
Are is he gonna be canceled by the Swifties?
I don't think he'll be canceled. I Here's my thing. I don't remember him owning up to the situation. Like I don't remember him saying, "You know what?
See,
I was a
I
little
think
heated."
it happened so early in the game and then so much happened. It kind of like, it's not the most talked about thing because they just won a crazy overtime Super Bowl. So like it
Yeah,
kind of, I thought, okay, maybe he's gonna get it swept under the rug a little bit, but
I
people are
don't
still
believe in
talking about
canceling anybody. That's not a thing for me. I don't I think everyone deserves a second chance unless you do something really, really hard. But I think that he at least should have owned up to it. And I know what you're saying about having so much go through the game, but I think if young men are watching the Super Bowl, young football players, young baseball players, and they kind of I don't want any of that normalized for kids playing
it. Yeah,
sports. And I
I
don't
know what
think
you
that's
mean.
you have a huge role model. Travis Kelsey is probably one of the biggest non-quarterback faces out there in football, I think, right now.
Definitely.
And to have that kind of up on it, and then the coach kind of shrugged it off. And I'm like, nah, no,
Yeah,
man. You
see,
don't,
I see both sides of that for sure. I
yeah,
get it's a Super Bowl, they're playing at the highest level, most competitive, so I get the fire, but I also get the, take ownership for what you did there.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
he will in another interview,
Yeah,
maybe he
maybe.
did, but
I understand. And I'm still thinking about his brother in Buffalo during that Buffalo game, rip off his shirt and be stupid and silly and stuff. And yeah, it's whatever. You
there
know.
there was that video of them celebrating, and it's like the duality of man, and it's Travis Kelsey dancing with Taylor Swift, and then it
His
slowly
brother.
pans, and Jason Kelsey's wearing like the mask, going like nuts. It was really funny.
Yeah. Oh, so funny. Oh man. All right, let's talk to something about something that I actually will be present for, and that's baseball. Pitchers and catchers reported today. I think it
Yeah, a
was
bunch of
today.
them,
Yeah.
but and a few
Um,
teams reported a couple days ago. It's
yeah,
it's
how
our time
exciting,
now.
dude. How
Baseball time.
exciting.
Baseball season is underway.
Let me tell you though, Mets fans are laying it out for Stephen Cohen on Twitter. He's like, oh, he posted a tweet today. I'm gonna get it exactly because I don't want to I don't want to misquote the man. It wasn't a tweet that was like controversial per se, but he said baseball is finally here, so exciting. And Mets fans, and I know you have a certain opinion of this, Mets fans are upset because it was a less than dramatic, a less than impactful on at least outwardly off season for the Mets. And so they're angry at Stephen Cohen. And honestly, from my perspective, I get it kind of that you have to have a rebuild year, but
Mhm.
ooh, it's frustrating because as a Mets fan, it seems like every year is next season, next season, next season. This year I understand it, but I'm kind of getting sick of next season, next season, next season. And I
Yeah.
know you kind of have that understanding because your fellow Cubs fans too get frustrated.
Definitely.
Um, but
I
yeah,
do think it's the right call though for the longevity and the best big picture for the franchise. You got to reset. You can't pay those taxes every year. It's impossible to win that way. You're just going to make it worse each year following. And you can see a lot of the baseball sites are relatively bullish on the Mets. Pacoda thinks they're
You told me
a
that,
wild
but
card
I
team,
don't
and
understand it because, dude, it's basically, I mean, I know we've had a couple of signings. It's basically the same team as last year. It's not really that dramatically different.
I
We
think
didn't
they're
really improve the
they're counting
pitching.
on some bounce back seasons. I
They're
think
hoping
that was
Severino picks up. I mean, I'm hopeful. Let's put it that way.
and
But
retained
I'm,
players having a couple bounce back seasons, like maybe McNeil, who showed some life towards the end. Maybe he's
yeah,
back to his old self.
I love the
Maybe
squirrel.
Marte. And you got
Yeah.
a good core. You really do. You got Alonzo,
Yeah, but
Lindor, Nimmo.
we haven't signed Alonso long term. We did an extension, but now
Yeah,
the GM today came out, David Stern came out and
he's
said
hitting free
today that he's gonna
agency.
hit like we don't want to hear that as Mets fans. Like he is literally the foundation of the team. And there are players, I mean, there are players, there are fans that are like, it's going to be like when Tom Seaver was traded away I was the Cardinals, I think. When he was traded away the Reds. When Tom Seaver was traded away for the Reds all those years ago, it's going to be like the 2.0 of that.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Pete is, as soon as he fired his agent and hired Boris, everyone in the world knew what was coming. He was gonna hit the market. I mean, I don't even know if there's an actual dollar amount Cohn could put in front of him that Pete would say yes to, simply because if he can get that offer, he can show that offer to all the other teams. One team raises it and he's getting more like that. I mean, that's how
So
Boris works. That's why all the big free agents that are still left are Boris clients.
here's a plus and a minus of that. For Pete Alonso. Let's put it in Pete's perspective and then I'll put it in Mets perspective. The plus and minus for Pete is this. If he has an amazing 2024, his price is going to skyrocket. However, if he struggles, and it's good for the Mets, so that's a plus for the Mets, right? He has an amazing 2024. Listen, we could use an amazing 2024 from Pete Alonso. But if he struggles, it's going to impact the Mets and his price is going to plummet. And so there's a risk there, like with any player that's about to hit free agency, that does he want to do that?
Yeah.
And the same for the
I
Mets. That
I
if
think
he,
Pete has a pretty safe floor though, with that
yeah, you're
power.
right. I
With that
agree,
power.
but he has been in the past a little non I mean he has been a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent. He lacks a little bit of consistency in the hitting, a little bit. He has the power, but he does get into major slumps where he's not performing. And so if he has a season like that, I think it'll
Yeah.
impact his price, but I don't blame him for holding out. And at the end of the day, I want the best deal for the player. Listen, go for it. If you have that talent, you're a ball player and you could get as much money as you can get, go for it. But at the same time, if we have this big owner with a big pocket and is not taking the time and again, we don't know, what conversations were had between his camp and the Mets, but I'm just concerned that it lacks a little bit of urgency to sign probably the marquee player of the team.
Yeah.
Which
And that's where I think it boils down to, this is just a unique situation. I think no matter what, Pete was going to hit the market. And I think
yeah.
Stearns is honest about it, because they saw it. As soon as he hired Boris, that was
But
it.
what's the point of him saying that though? The fans got pissed at him. Like, what's the point of that? You want to fill seats at the end of the day at Citi Field. Like, what's the point
Yeah,
of
I mean, he did
saying
say
that?
their goal is they hope to retain him, but
Yeah.
I think he was just more, hey, don't be mad at me that we're not negotiating, because he is gonna hit free agency no matter what. That's what he wants to do. So, my guess is it's not like they won't talk at all throughout the year. Peek in, how you doing? You never
Yeah,
know.
but that never really results in anything typically.
Right,
And
but maybe it gives them a better starting point once free agency starts.
at least the conversations are had. Although if I was Pete Alonso and I had a great year, I would definitely hold out until winter meetings. I mean, to see what's out there. I mean,
Oh yeah, for sure.
as much of a fan as he is of New York and the Mets, money at the end of the day talks, as you know,
Yeah.
as it should,
And after this season, the Mets have a bunch of money coming off the books. They'll
as you
have
said.
the taxes reset. So maybe the Mets, in the end of the day, will be that team to offer him the big money he wants. So
Maybe, hopefully.
you
Let's
never
talk about
know.
the Cubs. I mean, when are they signing
Sure.
Bellinger?
Well, there was maybe some kind of beneficial news this morning. Jorge Soler signed with the Giants.
Yeah,
And now
that's depressing. The Mets fans were
and
not happy with that either.
and now that he takes up the DH spot, that means Lee is going to have to stay in center. They're the big KBO signing they had. So
So now
I'd
they
like
need Bellinger.
I'd like to think the Giants are out on Bellinger now. That Soler took that last spot.
What about the Mets though?
The Mets, I think the Mets. I mean, the Mets make some sense, but the Mets aren't gonna.
We need a DH.
It sounds like they're not gonna spend that money this
Yeah,
offseason anymore.
we just need a DH
I
though.
think
Our
it's gonna come
DH.
down to the Cubs, the Blue Jays, and the Angels are a wild
Then
card.
for your sake, I hope he picks the Cubs. I think he's solid, and I think it's a
I
good pick.
ultimately think that's what happens, and it
Yeah.
gets done. But we'll see. Passan was on one of the Chicago stations last week or the week before, and he said that of the four remaining Boris clients, which are the four big time remaining free agents, his prediction, and he didn't name a name, he simply said, I think the Cubs end up with one of them. That's kind of how I feel it's going. The Cubs are waiting for one of the guys to come down to a more reasonable number because all four of them are way above what any team's willing to pay. So I mean,
Yeah.
none of them are going to sit out the season. You know, they don't have that. They don't really have that leverage.
You mean what Conforto did a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
I mean, Michael Conforto, former
he
Met.
was he was coming off a shoulder injury, wasn't
He
he?
was. He was. He was another, by the way, Scott Boras person.
Yeah,
And he stood out the season. Ended up signing with the Giants, but along with JD Davis, and now they have but yeah. I think the Giants getting Soler was brilliant for them. I mean, I think
yeah, it
it's
was a
a
good
good
pickup.
get for them. So we'll see.
I as much as we as fans dislike it, as far as like from the player's perspective, I don't know how you don't have Boris as your agent right now.
Yeah,
I
absolutely
mean,
100%.
obviously, not everything is going to work in every situation. Sometimes guys hold out and it ends up hurting them, but man, for the vast, vast, vast majority, like
It works.
if you want to make the most you can, you hire that guy.
Scott Boras is the best sports agent, period, in any sport, without a doubt. Yeah, and he's a shark. I know in the future there's going to be some kind of movie biography about his life because he's been that impactful. So
I love that he gets the. They don't specifically say him by name, but in Moneyball,
oh
he's on the
yeah,
phone with Brad Pitt playing the
I
GM
love
Billy
that movie
Beane.
so
And
much.
with
Oh
when
my
Johnny
God.
Damon goes for the extra 500,000, he's just that's it. You just bought him, and then he hangs up on him. That scene is what I picture every time people are
And
negotiating with
there's
him.
been some, speaking of movies about sports agents, of course, you have Jerry Maguire too. You have some really, um, sorry, trying to adjust here. You have
Love
some,
that movie.
you have some really good movies about sports agents.
I'm just ready for baseball.
Me too, dude. Me too. I'm so excited.
It's that we have that little lull. I know, especially for you. I still have some college basketball to watch, but for as far as professional sports go, like I'm just waiting for
Who's your
MLB,
team? Who's your college team?
the Hoosiers.
Oh, well,
I
it's
mean, I did go there.
geographically, you did go there, and it's geographically.
Yeah.
I didn't know you went there. See, I learned something
Oh,
new
there you
about you.
go. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm a
So
Hoosier.
you're a Hoosier.
Yeah,
I am I'm an owl.
Florida Atlantic.
Hmm.
Boom.
You're good. Oh
That
man,
category on the floor, I would have crushed the college
you would have
mascots. Oh man, I was hitting every
100%,
one of them.
100% you would have gotten it without a
But yeah,
doubt.
I'm ready for some baseball. It's time. Weather warms up.
And I live in Florida.
See, it's already warm for you.
You can come on down and see some baseball. Well, the Cubs don't play in Florida, but
Yeah, Cubs
it's a
are
tough.
Cactus League in
Yeah,
Arizona.
yeah. Cubs are all the way in Sedona, I think.
Mesa.
Mesa. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, at least my team is. It's about an hour and a half drive from
Are the
here.
Mets in Port St. Lucie?
They are. It's about an hour and a half from where I am currently. It's
Oh,
not too
that's
bad.
pretty awesome to just pick up
But
and drive whenever you want.
it's a schlep.
Yeah,
But
but you could go for a weekend or whatever,
yeah,
or very
yeah.
easily.
I love that part. I love Clover Park. I think it's still called or First Data Field. I don't know what they're calling it now, but
How's the parking
great.
there? Is it easy to like do all that
It's
or no?
all in grass. It's all like kind of, very high school football-y kind of
Yeah,
grass
but
parking.
theoretically, you could
It's
wake
easy.
up, make the drive, go to a game, and come back.
And tomorrow they're having a free workout. So you can literally go there at 9:30 in the morning, park your car and go up. And that's usually the best time to get like autographs and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I've been
not
to
up
spring
to
training
it,
once
but
or
I would
twice.
go
It's
to it.
fun. It's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it is. That's one of my favorite times of the year for sure. I just enjoy the close upness of it, the
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, the intimacy of,
Yeah.
being able to see your favorite players. I remember about 4 years ago, I was up in West Palm, and that's where the Washington Nationals have their spring training. And I remember just Juan Soto walking up and like, just there's Juan Soto.
Yeah. I that's
Yeah.
how I met Mike Trout way
Oh
back when.
wow, that's amazing.
Oh yeah, it was
Those are great stories.
they really are.
Do you have it? Speaking of sports and stuff, do you have an unboxing?
I do actually.
We
Yeah,
should do an
you want to
unboxing.
do one? Let's do one.
Yeah, let's do one. Oh, I always love when you quiz me here. So yeah, fun times.
Let's see what we got here. This is a smaller one.
This is real time, folks. Charlie is opening
Wow,
his merchandise.
wrapped pretty well.
So is this a bobble?
This, I believe, is a bobble. I can
Okay.
confirm that in a few more paper pulls here.
Please let it be baseball.
It is baseball.
Yay. Okay.
And it is a team that has their spring training in Florida.
Okay, that narrows it down to half. Good.
This team also, oh, that'll be too obvious, but you've been to the stadium for sure. Oh, this is a
Oh,
cool one. This is a really cool one. How do I give clues that aren't too obvious?
so
He's a very young, exciting player that has
okay.
done some exciting things at the highest level in the postseason. He's kind
Okay.
of known as like a postseason, like a he. This year they didn't do so hot, but he has done very well in his postseason, very young postseason career.
Okay.
This is a team that I love.
A team that you love?
Yeah,
Oh, it's not the Cubs because I don't have spring
it's
training
not.
in Florida.
Who's my other team?
Oh,
You know who it is. We watched them in the playoffs in Atlanta together.
I forgot.
They're in your state. How about that?
Oh, the Rays.
There
Yes. Oh
you
my
go.
God. I can't believe my brain. Um,
This happens to be
and folks, there's no time. It's just the afternoon here, so there's no
a
excuse.
young postseason star from the Rays.
Okay.
How about this? The team that I don't like traded this player away for pennies, and they regret it every day since.
The
They traded
Cardinals
away.
traded him.
Yes, they traded away in the same. I believe it was even the same offseason. They traded away this player in two separate trades and Adolis Garcia, who just did very well in the World Series for Texas. Two young outfielders they traded away.
When did
There's
they
another
trade for
hint.
him?
Probably about 4 seasons ago. He never played
Okay.
in the majors with St. Louis. He was a prospect still. He has his
Oh,
own
oh, 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 wait, no,
he
because
has his
no.
own section in a fan section. He's
Is it
known
Randy?
for
Is it a Rosarina?
it is Randy
Oh my
Arozarena.
God.
Look
But
at this
it's
one.
interesting. Oh my God. I love a Rosarina. He did a dance outside the Braves Park. Did you see the video of that? I have to
I
share
did
that.
see that. This
Um,
is actually a home run derby one from this year. Pete, your
so
boy Pete is in the same set.
yeah. Oh, that's a beautiful bobble. That's a beautiful bobble. A Rosarina actually is a very interesting thing because you bring up the trade. Do you know that he has two rookie cards, one in a Cardinals uniform and one in a Rays uniform?
That's cool.
There you go.
You have both of them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I loved a Rosarina. I actually have some autos of his still. I was a fan of his. I was a bigger fan of another player on that team that I'm no longer a fan of. But yeah, um, yeah,
Yeah, this
nice.
one's cool. Pete was in it. It was all the home run derby participants.
I love that.
So he's wearing a backwards hat, and then it's hard to see, but if you look right behind it, it's got the Seattle. See that, like the
Yeah,
old, yeah, right there.
the dome. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is always odd for it's not the player on the team to see that stadium in the background. It's always
Yeah,
interesting. That's what I
but
love
it's
about
cool.
those
It
are
says All Star
unique
Game
and
right on there.
cool. Yeah. I have a couple of Pete Alonso All-Star bobbleheads that I have in my collection, let's say. That's cool.
I'm just excited for baseball, and I'm
Me
excited to be
too.
able to go see some of those Oscar noms that we haven't gotten to watch yet.
Me too.
Maybe
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 we'll
we'll
touch
do
base.
yeah, maybe we'll do one of those tonight before the floor.
I will say you kept telling me, Tim, watch the bear, watch the bear,
Oh
watch the
yes,
bear.
please, let's
Oh
touch on
my
that for a
God, what a
second.
great show that is. I watched
I
all
can't.
two seasons. It helps when you're sick and you're standing in front of a TV and you binge watch stuff, but man, is that acting superb.
Oh,
Io
so
is
good.
fantastic.
And now you see why it's like two or three people from the bear in every category
The
because it's just
emotions, it's just they're able to capture the emotions of these characters like beautifully. And I will say, like you said, there are dark parts of the show that are kind of tough. I mean,
yeah,
but the overall theme, like at the beginning, I didn't like Richie. Towards the end of season two, I'm like loving the guy. Like I am actually starting to root for him. And
yeah,
that's the
I
kind of
know.
characters you want in a show.
And
You
Ayo
want
Adibri is amazing. I'm
so
so glad she
amazing.
won. Oh, I was so happy she won.
I loved her character standing her ground.
Yeah,
It was just
she's phenomenal.
is awesome.
And then she
So
hosted SNL and she was so funny.
so funny. Oh yeah. Thank you. I will say thank you for introducing me to that
Hey,
show.
and
I was
now
like,
season
good.
three, they're filming
When
it
is it
right
coming
now. It's
out? Oh, they're
supposed to be
filming
out in
it.
June.
I wonder what happens with the restaurant. There's probably going to be um some things that have to pop up because it's TV and you have to have drum. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
if
hoping
if
that's
you have
successful.
not watched that yet and you're listening to this,
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to
Yeah,
give anything else away.
we won't give away
Yeah,
too much.
yeah.
You didn't really give away
Well,
anything,
no,
but
it's about a restaurant. That's what the
yeah,
show is about. The beef, the
absolutely.
restaurant, the beef. But how fantastic is Jamie Lee Curtis too in that? Joel McHale, I was like, is that Joel McHale? Like,
Yep,
he's
that
such a nasty
they had the
chef.
bear clue when he was on We
Yes.
Are Family.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's brief though. Joel's not in the show.
Very brief, but still,
But
he phenomenal.
John Mulaney is fantastic. It's
John
just a great
Bernthal,
kid. Yeah, John Bernthal is
the
great.
flashback dinner scene that was
Oh,
just
the seven fishes, the
yeah,
seven fishes episode. So yeah, I won't give away too much, but it was so boom, 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 boom. The dialogue. I can't even imagine how many pages of dialogue this was. It was so back and forth and back and forth and back.
it was
That's why the nominations. That episode is superb, like
yeah,
superb TV.
it's phenomenal.
It's
Highly recommend it.
when you watch the Seven Fishes episode, fast. Boom, 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 boom. That's that whole episode.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, buddy.
I'm real glad you got to watch that one. So
I am too. I am
you'll
too.
have to tackle something else on that list. So we can touch base on another item next time.
Definitely. And folks, if you haven't noticed, we tried to do this in one sweep without editing too much. So hopefully it's not too choppy. But this is episode 2 of Around the Bases Pop Culture and Sports Podcast. I'm Tim Sternberg with my buddy,
Charlie Seymour.
and we will be back next week for another exciting episode. Until then, see you soon.